I see a lot of new faces here. It's not my usual Irish music crowd, I can tell. This is great to see all you here. I'm going to pass around a mailing list thing, so if you want to get on my mailing list for future concerts, I can't promise they're all going to be from South Africa.
I can hook you up with enough people for the year.
Yeah, there you
Okay,
go.
there we go. Okay, I bet you could, yes. Details, there are 2 bathrooms in here, one behind here down this hallway, another if you go past the fridge, take a left down the stairs, there's a bedroom down there with another toilet. Use the paper towels to keep the hygiene going, because 40 people sharing towels, you don't want to do that. So use the paper towels. What else? The drinks stuff is in the kitchen. And an announcement for intermission, a special thing that I want to mention is Robin's favorite aunt died this morning in Iowa, 97 years old, next to her husband of 75 years. Yes, the funeral's Wednesday, but if a few of you want to join Robin at intermission in the yard and say Kaddish, it's a Jewish prayer for the for when someone passes. That would be a lovely thing to happen at intermission. So that'll happen then. Okay. Yes.
Good.
Now.
And you don't have to be Jewish.
Yes. Very loose rules on minging around here. Yeah. Okay. Tonight, I don't remember how Derek got on my radar, but I don't remember. But I heard his music and just was stunned. It was like nothing I'd ever heard before. And it's appropriate that he's going to be up at the Vancouver Folk Music Festival next weekend, which is the place I always called where I hear music I never knew I couldn't live without. And that's so true of what you're going to hear tonight. You never knew you couldn't live without this music after tonight. And so I'm really pleased to have Derek Ripper join us.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming. It's not your phone. Is it? Oh, it is?
Yeah.
You're in trouble. We're going to charge you double, and it's a flip phone as well. That's cool.
Good thing it happened at the beginning.
Exactly.
Thanks very much. That was a piece.
Warmed up now.
Yeah, that's the sound check.
That's a song. That was three pieces by Ali Farka Touré, the great Malian guitarist. Well, the middle one wasn't actually by him, but same. So that's a tune by a guy called Toumani Diabaté, the Kora player, who you might know. And I first heard his music in around 2001. I got given a burnt CD, when piracy was still private. and I was really blown away by the music, and because I'd been playing the music of Bach before that mostly, and other things. And I couldn't play this music because you couldn't download scores. Well, you couldn't download anything in 2001, but you couldn't get scores because it's an oral tradition, And I live in Cape Town, and I've since met people who, heard this album or similar albums and thought, wow, they want to learn this music, and they did the obvious thing, was to get on a plane and go to Mali and learn the kora, the actual instrument. Which in retrospect would have been the easy way to do it. And all people in the US, because there's lots of kora players here, they often just found a kora teacher. But I kept listening to the music for around 10 years, just that one record, which Toumani recorded when he was 21. And it's a very beautiful and incredible album. And it was the first ever solo instrumental kora record ever made, except for the one that was made the same year by somebody else. But we didn't talk about that one.
How many strings?
The kora is a 21 string harp, usually 22, some rebels, they got 22, So what I did first with it, because I couldn't play the music, is I'd listen to it, and then I'd play what I could play like it, in a way, so like the accent of the music. And one of the things was Bach. So I would listen to Toumani, and then I would take what I heard back to a piece of Bach, and I started to rediscover Bach in a way, because of course Bach was also from an oral tradition. He was hearing the music, it was in their ears, they were playing by ear, and they were writing it down. And I think for Bach, writing the music down was a little bit like for Toumani going into the studio and recording. And if you recorded him on a Tuesday, it would be one thing, and if you recorded him on a Thursday, it would be a different thing. Is that beautiful thing, which kind of got lost in classical music, where you have the definitive one. And I once played a piece of Bach in Germany, and someone came up to me afterwards and asked why I'd added an extra bass note in page 3. It's just kind of.
What did you say?
And I haven't been back.
But
So this
ghost
is.
was applauding you.
Huh?
His ghost was applauding you.
So this is a little Bach I've been playing for a long time. It's an old violin one, which I suppose is the one that would have been the one subjected to Toumani's style of playing the most. what was unique about Toumani's Kora playing is that because he was solo, you know, he was doing a lot of the parts together that would have been done by individual. Is there unrest in the audience? Do you need us to have her removed?
Yeah. She's one of my closest friends. Please don't.
Okay, you can stay, but just behave yourself.
We went to eat down.
This part is called a kumbengo. It's the legs of the piece. I quite like that image. And then Toumani said it very nicely to me when we finally met in around, I think it was 2016. He said, listen, now the Kora is going to sing. Portable instrument.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's got to have their thing, right?
That's right. But I can see what you mean when you say it's going to sing. No, not mine. It's going to sing.
So in December, a friend of mine passed away. Her name was Madhusini. She was the kind of they called her the queen. Well, she was the queen of bow music, which is there were various types of bows, and you might be familiar with the birimbau, which is the South American bow, which came from Angola originally, and in South Africa it's called uhadi, and it's a gourd resonated single string bow. But when you're younger than an Uhadi player, when you're 10 or so, you play a mouth bow, which is called a mkhube. And Madhusini carried on playing, even though she graduated at an older age to the Uhadi. She kept on playing. She kept on playing the mkhube until she was like 110.
Wow.
Her passport said she was about 100, and I asked her about it, and she said no. I changed my birth date so I could get the grant, the old age grant earlier. Which was fine when she was 50 probably, but once you were organizing visas for her when she was like 78 and her passport said she was 100, then it started to get a bit. Anyway, this is an old piece of hers that she would have learned from her father, and it's been passed down probably for a very long time. It's called I Like the Motor Car. And I learned it because we had a gig together and we'd always just improvised, which basically meant that I would try and work out what tuning she was in and before the piece ended. And usually just as I got it, she'd go, yeah, and stop. And then start something else. So I learned this piece and I played it to her and she loved it. She got really excited. And I thought, cool. And then she said, yeah, I can put a melody to that. I can, And I said, what do you mean? This is your piece. No. This is your composition. And so we had this argument for years and years. And I would joke that it's my piece now. And then we didn't play together for a while. And in 2019, we were going to go to Geneva together. And so we had a little sit down to see what we were going to play. And I said, yeah, we can play the motor car. And she goes, cool. And she starts playing this piece, and it's a different piece. Different tuning, different rhythm. It was in 5. There was no, and I said, cool, yeah, we can do that. But what about this piece? And I start playing this. She goes, your piece. So everything I'm playing, she does on a single string with overtones captured in the mouth. It's really beautiful. And she was the only person who could really do this overtone playing on the mkhube, because I think it takes 60 years. And now the young people don't have time anymore. But I'm hoping someone comes along.
Can you give us her name later so I can look her up on the web?
I can hook you up for sure. You can find her nicest album is a solo album, just her and the bow, and it's on my website, which is derekgripper.com.
Okay.
pandemic, Yo-Yo Ma came to Cape Town and played the Bach cello suites in the company garden, in the Kostenbosch Gardens, which are these beautiful gardens in the shadow of the mountain. And he sat there for 2.5 hours and he played these pieces that he started learning the first cello suite when he was 4.
Wow.
You know, when the rest of us were trying to hold a pen. You know? And it was a beautiful experience, and it made me start to look at the cello suites, because I've always played the violin ones, and it's a long-term project because there's about 2 hours of each. So if you start learning the violin one, that's, you know, you kind of sorted. So I always just thought, I don't want to even know. But it turns out the cello ones are kind of more grounded. It feels like maybe Bach had less to prove or something when he was writing them. And also because the cellos, you know, at that time, it was off the charts to write so many notes. You know, the cello was like a bass instrument. It was like the guy who couldn't really play, and then you gave him a cello, and he played the root notes. You know, so it was quite revolutionary. And I wonder even if Bach knew anybody who could have played them. You know, and there's lots of theories, and you know, maybe they were played on viols because viols were a little bit more virtuosic, or there was one guy who he wrote it for who was really good. Who knows? They're really beautiful, and I've been learning them now, and I'm 4 movements into the second one. I've learned the first one and recorded it, but I'm gonna play you a little bit of the second one because it's my favorite, but I don't know all of it yet. Lucky you, because otherwise you'd be here all night. tune is called Tita. And it was first recorded in 1971 by a singer called Fanta Sacco in Bamako, Mali. And it was actually for a record label started by the government, the new independent government of Mali, who were using music as a way to bring all the disparate people of Mali together into this new nation. So this is the guitar part, and then they have all these beautiful little solos. There are two guitars playing, and then her voice on top. Are you feeling the break? Doug, you're in charge.
Well, think about how long you want to play.
Well, we usually go until what, like 1 a.m. or so? So
That sounds about right.
Actually, my watch says it's 5. It's 8. Yeah.
10 after 8.
808.
I used to have this watch that was a wind up watch, and it often used to stop during concerts, and then I'd be like, still going. And so I was given this watch by one of my. I have this group of people around who play the music with me, and he's a watchmaker now in Louisville, Tennessee. And this watch is a little bit more useful because it's not wind up, but it only has one hand. It's like a sundial, so it tells you where you are in the hour, but very inexact. So it hasn't improved much in my life.
This is your stress level, right?
Yeah, it's some kind of hipster thing, like you don't need a second hand. You don't need. Cool. I'll play you one more little tune.
Minutes. Who needs minutes?
No.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. This stresses out, and the ticking. It's awful. Yeah. I don't know if it stresses you out more though. I'm still working on it because the hour is this big, right? It's from there to there. So it makes the hour seem very short, really. You look at it and you think, whoa, it's almost 9 o'clock, but actually it's 22, So it can go both ways. So this is a piece by Toumani. So when you're playing the Kora, you've got your 4 fingers, and you can play. The thumbs would usually take like a bass part either together or alone, and then you can play the accompaniment here. So just on the 2 thumbs you can get a lot going already, and then the index fingers usually take more of the melodic part, or if you have a higher accompaniment. So this is a beautiful piece called Concoba. The bass line for the mathematically inclined is a 12 beat cycle, 2-2-2-3-3. And then if you're clapping along as the audience member, you take that 2-2-2-3-3, you divide it into 12, and you clap on the 3 of each. You ready?
No.
Oh boy.
So it sounds like this. Tapping your foot now, that's the wrong place. And that's where I would tap my foot as well. It's like, I always think it's the same as French. If you try and read French, you're wrong. It's the same with these pieces. The clapping is always some other thing. So the accompaniment part would be. Jet lag. So that would be all in the thumbs. I don't know where your clap is because I'm from Cape Town. I've asked loads of musicians and they all tell me a different place. And actually, if you see, there's a bunch of like holes in the back of my guitar. That's where Ali Faikuture's son showed me where the beats are once. So the fingers come in and they have this third part like. visualization. Thanks for listening. I was here a few months ago, here being, vaguely here, more California, and I met up with a friend from South Africa who was also on tour at the same time. His name is Guy Battery, and Guy plays steel string guitar, and so because I knew we were going to be in the same place at the same time, I got him to come along to my gig, which at a beautiful venue called the Freight and Salvage. It's in Berkeley. And we did a gig together, and afterwards Guy said to me that I had to print CDs, and I said to him, Guy, it's 2023, But he kept hassling me, so for this tour I actually made compact discs for the first time. Also partly because I haven't owned a CD player, for 10 years. But my grandfather passed away a few months ago, and I inherited the family CD player, which I remember arriving and it being like a thing, like wow, this is amazing. And it was a Marantz CD player, so I have a CD player now, so I feel less hypocritical. But I don't actually like it, and I'm not going to do it again because I like to travel. I like to travel light, and I think the only thing I think about before I leave is like, are you going to take two pairs of shoes, or one pair of shoes, and do I need this? And so the CDs is cramping my style big time. But I have two records here. The one is a Bach record from 2017, and it's never been in a physical form before. And the other one is One Night on Earth, which is these transcriptions of West African music that I recorded in 2011 with an orchestra of crickets from South Africa who really made the album, and I've been struggling to locate them to do the follow-up record and also to pay them royalties. But they're really beautiful. So those are there. And I was on Orcas Island last night, and I made a special Orcas Island price because I heard the gas prices are really high there. So I thought, you know, if I sold the CDs for slightly less, it would all balance out for them. You know? So I'm trying to help where I can. So this tune is called Kora. I actually have a daughter called Kora because she was born. I just happened to be listening to this, and she came along about 15 or so years ago, and she still claims this is her favorite tune. Well, I should say the favorite tune that I play. Enjoy your break. If you do want CDs, it's self-service. I don't like getting involved in commerce. And I'll see you later.
People can also get your
We
music
also
on
live on an
Bandcamp.
island,
You
and
can
we live in
download and buy
Diabaté
his
Ferry.
music on
Yeah?
Bandcamp.
I've got a session happening here.
Music session.
Yeah, music session. Yeah.
Friends.
So I forgot to write this down. Let me announce who's coming up. I've got 3 concerts by the end of the year. Let's go to my calendar here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Aoife Scott, August 25th. She's an Irish singer from in the Black family lineage. If you're deep into Irish music, you know what that means. Playing with a guitarist. She's on August 25th. That's a Friday. September 21st, San Miguel Fraser, Irish and Castilian fiddle.
Oh,
That's going to be a great fusion thing. Let's see. When's my next one? Next one. Now I'm taking a break because we're going to be in Australia for 5 weeks. And then January 21st, we have Jocelyn Pettit coming back here with Ellen Gira, who's an amazing cellist. They've been traveling together playing. It'll be our third concert here. She is a really fun player to have here. You can't believe she's Irish because she's smiling when she plays.
And she's going to be up at the Vancouver Folk Festival.
Jocelyn is?
Yeah,
Cool.
she's
Okay.
she's on the bill.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of the feeder for them, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Larry, did
Wait, would you
Where
say-
is-
would
yes?
you say that- would you mind saying the dates one more time?
Oh.
There you are. Don't you have a webpage?
August 20th.
No, I don't. Not for this. Not for this. January 21st for Jocelyn. September 21st for San Miguel Fraser, and August 25th for Aoife Scott. You're on the newsletter list. You'll get that. Okay. Can you believe that we're sitting here and not Meany Hall hearing this guy?
It's incredible.
This is amazing. The virtuosity. And that's what I like this house series to be about, virtuosity, and people who exhibit that. And boy, does Derek have it in spades. Welcome, Derek. Ooh.
That came out of nowhere. You see what I did there, though? I managed to actually.
You did really well. What year are you playing at Folk Fest in Vancouver?
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's on the
Yeah, I
cable.
think
That's what
that's-
happened. Yep. Okay, we're good.
Guitar's fine.
That's over my foot.
Yeah. What time am I playing the Folk Fest?
Well, what day?
Sunday.
Are you on more than one stage?
Yes, he is. I looked it up 5 minutes ago.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
I'm good.
playing in South Seattle this week.
I'm playing South Seattle on the 13th at the Rainier
Cultural Arts Center.
Cultural Arts Center. It's unfortunately sold out, but if you know anyone who'd like to come, especially like a student who needs a job, I need a door person. So if you find somebody, I can squeeze anybody you want in, and they'll even get paid.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm going to be doing the door, but it's always a bit awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, the tickets are finished, unfortunately. All right, I'm going to play you a piece. I don't know if you've ever been to Calgary.
Yes.
Yes.
Through Calgary.
Good times.
Stampede.
You went to the Stampede?
Yeah, years ago.
I was there last year at the Stampede. And I didn't know that the Canadians did that whole thing.
Pancake breakfast. Are they still doing the pancake breakfast?
Yeah.
Only some free pancakes.
Yeah, yeah.
Only some.
Everywhere, all over the place.
Yeah.
Free?
I think it was free when I went.
No. It's 2023.
Yeah.
You pay it. I think.
$35.
I don't know. The queues were too long. I wasn't prepared to queue for pancakes. But I went, and just recently, I'm actually going back on Monday just for 4 hours. But
Just a little hut from there.
just a little stop. It's my flight, and I'd forgotten that I was going. And then I was looking at my flight. I was like, "Why the hell am I flying to Calgary?" But I went there, and we went hiking north of Banff because I wanted to swim in a glacial lake. So we went far up, 2,000 meters or whatever. Meters are like feet, but just a little bit longer.
More like yards.
More like yards.
Closer to yards.
Yeah, exactly like
Yeah.
yards. But
Which
that doesn't help anybody because no one knows what a yard is. Do we?
Yeah.
3 feet is a yard.
Meter.
A meter. We call them meter sticks here.
Don't hold the English system against you.
Yeah.
Sticks. Meter sticks.
That's ridiculous. And you guys, I mean, it's amazing. They invented the internet. I mean, you have Google, but they still pay people in checks and talk about yards. I don't know. This place is weird.
Excellent question.
Huh?
Yeah.
Excellent
Well, it
question.
wasn't a question. It's just an observation.
Excellent observation then. We should be on the metric.
The first time I came here, I played with a Norwegian guitarist, and we both got given a check, which no other country has used checks since the 80s. And he took his to the bank in Norway, and they started laughing. And they said to him, "There's nothing we can do with this check in the whole of Norway. Send it back to them. They can't. This is not tender. This is a piece of paper." Anyway, let's not talk about that. So this is the piece that I wrote from going up to this mountain. We climbed up really high, had this beautiful swim. It was really just the best day. And when we got right to the top of the mountain, 2,500 meters up, we bumped into an Australian. Because they're everywhere. And he was right up at the top, and I started talking to him because he had one of those ice picks hanging from his trousers, and I was kind of concerned about it, mostly because I thought maybe we should have one as well. When you find someone up the mountain kitted up, but they got cleats or whatever it is. But they were actually doing proper ice climbing a little further up. But he told me that the moss that grows on the mountain takes 40 years to go to maturity. And he said to me I had to be really careful. We must walk around it because it takes a long time. So I was walking down and I was thinking about this, and I was we have an artist in South Africa who's kind of a big deal all over. His name's William Kentridge, and he's like a kind of Picasso figure in a way. He's just hugely hugely productive. He's just unbelievable what he does. From operas at the Met to stop frame animations and all sorts of beautiful stuff. But he has a center in Johannesburg called the Center for the Less Good Idea. And so as I was walking down the mountain, I was thinking about this thing of like, if it takes 40 years for something to become moss, then maybe the next time I have a bad idea, I need to let it hang around a little bit, because normally we censor ourselves, You have an idea, you write it down, and you look at it and you go, oh my God, that's terrible, and you throw it away, and you never think about it again. So I decided, as a practice, that I was going to have the next bad idea I had, I was going to keep it and let it hang around. So I got back to Calgary, and I had a really bad idea. It was this really terrible, cheesy piece of music, and I wrote it down on a piece of paper, went to bed. The next morning I woke up, and the cat that I was looking after had shredded it, and it was all over the house. So I had to remember it, and it's totally developed. So I'm a year into my 40-year project. We can reconvene in 39 years. And here it is. Thank you.
Just say that's a bad idea.
Huh? It was a bad idea. It's improved.
Oh.
It was a terrible idea. And if I could play you the original, it's really bad.
So it's like wine, it got better with age.
Exactly. Yeah. That's William Kentridge's thing. Is that you start with a less good idea, and that creates a lot of there's a lot that happens. Then you got to work with something. Whereas if you have a good idea, it's kind of passive. It's like, yeah, I had a good idea.
Too easy.
So easy. Exactly. So yeah.
So the idea of the tortured artist.
Yeah. Well, like problem solving.
So in 39 years, that'll be a master.
39 years is going to be amazing.
Yeah. It'll
gonna
be
blow
a
you away.
masterpiece.
When
It'll be a
you-
masterpiece.
We'll all have to hang in there.
If your fingers are still able to play it,
Yeah.
or someone else might have to play it.
Exactly. Yeah, it can be collaborative.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We're still playing Bach, right? That was more than 39 years ago.
So this is a tune called the Quirky for the Komiki Whales. A Quirky is a small chorus that was sung in the churches of the Western Cape, South Africa. What they did was they took the church songs that would have been given to the original people of Southern Africa when they were co-opted into going to church for various there were economic incentives probably and various forceful means, and so they did that, but they turned the church into their own thing and they created this music called the Quirky, which is like a trance dance thing that you kind of dance in a circle and you sing just the chorus round and round, and there's lots of different Quirkies and they're beautiful. And this one I made in 2009 when there was 14 whales were beached on a beach near where I stayed, and it was very, very sad, and I wrote this piece after seeing these 14 whales dying slowly on the beach, and I made a record where this piece was and I used the picture of them for the front cover, which was not a good idea and it never sold very well. But then I was here in 2016. You guys were having an election. It was all super interesting.
Don't remind us.
And I was in New York City and I was playing a gig in Manhattan, and I was there for the election, and then that weekend there were all the protests and I couldn't get to the venue because they closed all the streets up, and it was all kind of very exciting. So I started playing this piece again with the idea that I found out that when 14 whales they lose their way, it's because the head whale misled them. So I decided that I wasn't going to write a piece for those 14 whales. I thought, fuck them, they voted for the wrong whale and it's entirely their problem. So I changed the piece, and since then it's been for the whales that didn't follow the whales, because there were some that saw what was going on and they turned around and swam out of the bay, which is the intelligent thing to do. So and I started playing this piece, and at the same time South Africa, we did a great thing that year. We changed presidents without waiting for an election. Highly recommended. So I thought I was trying to suggest this all around. I came here 3 or 4 times that year, and I kept playing this piece, and nothing changed for 4 years. I tried this, and I kind of felt like maybe guitar music can't change things, which was sad. So I went to England and I played it kind of morosely, feeling like it was all for nothing, and the next day Boris Johnson had resigned. But this isn't science. I mean, I just played a piece and the next day, it's just a coincidence.
Correlation, not causation.
So I went to France, the home of the revolution, and thought if I could,
Do it again.
do it again. And the next day, whoever had become prime minister in England also had resigned. Her name was Liz Truss. She was there for
Yes, right. She lasts for
48 hours. So anyway, I told this story in Amsterdam on Sunday. This is last Sunday I was there, And I've had. Huh?
Their government failed.
I know. So I've had like
crashed.
5 emails since then this week saying that it worked. So I'm feeling pretty pleased about the power of music. I see that the problem was America, not me.
That's right.
Be prepared to come back if needed.
I'm here.
2025.
This is the piece.
This is the piece. Bach piece, we were talking about time. And I like to, when I think of Bach's music, I like to remind myself that there was no second hand, in Bach's time. It's just the hour, if you were lucky, if you were living near the bell, And I like to think, what that must have felt like, really wonderful sense of spaciousness. Because, we have printed music and it's all, all the notes look like they're the same distance apart. And they have, these ticking devices that keep you in time. Which is, we have, just like we have the clocks that keep us in time.
Yeah.
And actually, around the middle of the 1600s, there's a quote somewhere which I've never been able to find again, which is irritating, and I might have made it up. But there's two guys talking, and the one says, that, he wants to invent a device for musicians to keep time. And the other says, yes, but that would be a mechanical impossibility because musicians are changing their pulse every few seconds. So how would you do that? How would you create something like that? start wrapping up because some people have to catch ferry. And I know it makes me super anxious, ferries. With ferry to Orcus was like it was the most stressful thing of the whole trip.
Is there a way?
Huh?
Not really.
It was a bit scary, yeah, because I thought, like, what happens if I miss it and then you can't get to the gig? Just imagine myself looking at the island and the concert's about to start, you know.
You see that gate go down, and you're just.
Yeah.
The gate.
And also your spatial thing on the car has to be so spot on, and I'm driving on the opposite side of the road as well. That was also scary. Yeah.
When you drive to Olympia, that will be
Oh,
scary.
I've done that, yeah.
Yeah.
I was in Olympia on the way. I stopped that way.
Narrow lanes. Yeah.
I used to play at Traditions in Olympia.
That's a great spot.
All right, this song is it's out of tune. So when Paul and I were in high school in Cape Town, I don't know if you remember, but in 1996, Salif Keita came to Cape Town, and my dad took me, and it was in the Three Arts Cinema, which was a huge cinema owned by a family called the Quibbles, and they owned two cinemas, the Three Arts and the Lakshorama, and these were separated by a railway line. And during apartheid, the Lakshorama, one lot of people were allowed, and the Three Arts, another lot of people were allowed. And I, in 1996, was able to go to the Three Arts, which would have been a white-only cinema, and watch one of the greatest singers from the African continent in like a 14-piece band, and it was unbelievable, incredible, wonderful experience. And it was my first ever concert by a non-South African. I think we'd had Paul Simon, but I didn't go, and maybe like something ridiculous like Crowded House or something, but I luckily went to see Salif Keita. And 30 years later, I took a ferry over a river from the city center in Bamako, Mali, and there's an island in the middle of this river, and Salif owns that island, and he has a spot there, and I spent some time with him, and we played old griot songs, and he sang with that incredible voice. So I promised myself that I would learn one of his pieces, or I'd learn some of his pieces, so that the next time we met, and so we met again in Swaziland, and I gave him some chili sauce that someone had given me because I was traveling with hand luggage, and you can't take chili sauce in your hand luggage. And he was very delighted, and we played this piece, which is called Ananaming. It's about a pineapple. Yeah. I think there's some kind of lascivious metaphor. I'm not so sure. On the African continent is probably a bit like the trad music. You know, there's not like one person who owns the piece, and you can take a melody from a piece or accompaniment, and you can put new words and a new story and a new melody, and no one sues you now yet. It's getting there now, but so I took a little bit of this piece and I made a piece called Anna. It's very hard to get into. There we go. All right, so I'm going to end off now. You good? You're right.
Good.
Good. Thank you very much for having me.
Glad to have you, and they couldn't have it without you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Oh, thank you.
An honor to hear you.
We can't wait for you to come back. We can't wait for you to come back.
Next week, right?
Well, you're stuck with me. I'm here for 3 days. I'll be back. I'm coming back in November, but not to this coast. But in March next year, I'll be not this far. I don't think we're coming up here, but I'm doing a tour with Baleke Sissoko, who's one of the great Kora players now. Him and Toumani grew up next to each other, and they recorded an album called New Ancient Strings, which was one of the records that got me into this music. And we have a very cool duo now, which I'm very much enjoying. It's like this really nice process of, he doesn't speak English, I don't speak French. Like, he shouldn't have to learn English because he arrived in France a number of years ago. He didn't speak French at all, taught himself to speak French, so he should never have to learn English. And I refuse to learn French because it's not a user, there's not a user interface that's sort of friendly to non-French people. So we have this great collaboration where we sit and play together without planning anything, and it's really fun. And our sort of manager agent in France keeps on trying to organize times for us to spend time together to rehearse. And we've so far managed to avoid it, say to her, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, fantastic. We absolutely, oh no, I can't make July. So anyway, we're playing a early music series in New York called Music Before 1800. I wrote a apparently convincing proposal that early music also came from Africa, and so that's
Right.
exciting. And then we're doing all sorts of things around and playing freight and salvage, but I don't know about here. But we could work on it.
So you're going to be in Berkeley?
We'll be in Berkeley.
Okay. Where's next March?
March, later in March. Okay, so I'm going to play you an old Kora tune. So you can hear what the chorus sounded like before Toumani and Diabaté came along.
Did you get to hear Rodriguez?